Hi everyone, welcome back to the Adams Health Network Laboratory Onboarding BS to MedTech program tutorial. This is part 2, where I will be discussing the program overview and description while also showing you how to access a module and showing you where to find the specific requirements needed to complete each module. Just a reminder that if you are a MedTech onboarding program participant, this is the BS to MedTech program tutorial, and your tutorial is located in this page here. You may recall me briefly mentioning this in the first part of the tutorial. However, in this second video, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the program overview and description, which is linked right here on your home landing page for the laboratory onboarding program. This may also be within your packet that you receive at orientation, but if you want to view it online, if you prefer that over having it on actual physical paper, it's linked here for your convenience. So if I click on that link, it'll take me here to this document, which is the Laboratory Onboarding Program Overview Description for the BS to MedTech program. You might remember me saying that this is similar to a syllabus for a college course, and it is similar in that this provides you with a general overview of what you're going to be learning throughout this program, and it also discusses the requirements needed for each module, similar to like a college course assignment. And this is just helpful for you to refer back to throughout the program when necessary. I'm not going to go through all of this. I will let you read that on your own, but there are some things that I do want to touch on that I find important, and I think that as you're beginning to get acclimated with this program and with the SharePoint site, I think that it is important for you to read through this. I am not going to go through every single section of this program overview and description with you, but there are some main points that I do want to touch on. So I am not going to discuss this program purpose, goals, and description section. You are fully capable of reading that on your own, but I do want to mention with this learning outcomes section just the purpose of this. So these outcomes, this list of outcomes, is what we have decided that you need to know and to be able to do upon completion of the Adams Health Network Laboratory Onboarding Program. I think that it is important that once you have completed this program, you come back to this document, whether you review this document on paper or online, you just come back to this section and you read through that list of outcomes, and you make sure that you are able to do those things. If not, that kind of gives you just a little bit of an idea of where you need to have some more training and where you need to focus your time on during the remainder of your training. And I think that this just will provide you a nice bit of self-reflection upon completion of the entire program. The next section that I want to discuss is the module overview section. So here, this is just a basic overview of the modules, what you'll be learning in the modules, and then any additional requirements needed to complete each of those modules. So this first section here in each of these little descriptions is the same. It just discusses what you will be learning in that module, just a brief introduction to it. And then the second section here will discuss what additional requirements you need to complete the module. So for example, if we scroll to coagulation, here we have our description of what you're going to be learning. And then down here, we'll discuss your what you need to complete the module in addition to just the regular virtual training. So your virtual training, and we'll see this in a bit when we touch on this, is mainly just completing either courses in Media Lab or watching videos on YouTube. But then we also need to make sure that you are competent doing these testing procedures or what have you on your own. And so these additional requirements that are listed in the second section allow us to see that you are competent in that area. So for example, the coagulation module, you'll need to meet or exceed several competencies regarding coagulation testing in the clinical laboratory. The full list of all of these can be viewed in each module's specific competency task list. If I scroll down here, I also want to discuss this program schedule. This is an outline of the schedule of the entire program, and this program is designed to build on the acquired knowledge that participants have learned in the previous module. So this is the order that we want you to proceed through the program. So we want you to start with general laboratory practices and procedures, and then we want you to move to phlebotomy. We don't want you jumping from phlebotomy to hematology back to general practices and procedures. We want you to go in order. That way you are able to build on the foundation of knowledge that you have learned previously in the last module. Over here, I have listed the recommended time that we think will take you to complete each module. So for the general laboratory practices and procedures, and this includes just getting acclimated with the SharePoint site, media lab, the program itself, this should take you approximately 2 days. If it takes you more or less than that, that's fine. We really don't want you to go over 3 days though. And then you can look through the recommended time here. This is as much for you as it is for us, just to make sure that we stay on track with your training as well. Down here, I want to know that once you have completed the phlebotomy and the specimen collection and processing modules, you're required to complete 5 blood draws per week throughout the remainder of the program. So upon completion of these 2 modules here, while you're doing immunology, while you're doing your analysis, coagulation, and so forth, you will need to complete 5 blood draws per week. And there, when we discuss the daily activity log, I will show you where that is. That way you can keep track of it and your supervisor can keep track of it as well. There's a spot where you can write that down. Additionally, you are required to spend half of a day per week in a competent department throughout the remainder of the program. So for example, if you are within the immunohematology department and you're training, you're doing your virtual, you're doing your departmental training, for a half a day a week, you are required to spend it in either chemistry, coagulation, urinalysis, immunology, specimen collection and processing, or phlebotomy. The general laboratory practices and procedures module does not count. And I do want to mention that if you are in immunohematology, you are not competent in microbiology yet, or you're not competent in hematology yet. So those, you cannot spend half a day per week there. It has to be in the department that you are competent in, that you are trained in. I want to just touch briefly on the daily activity log. I think that the name is self-explanatory, but I do want to just briefly go over it with you. That way you have an idea of what it is. So in order for your supervisors to make sure that you remain focused and productive, we have developed this daily activity log, and it's as much for you as it is for us. It just allows us to see that you're progressing through this program as we want you to. So I'm going to click on this. You'll have, this program is 17 weeks, so you'll have 17 activity logs, and you will just write down, so for these this first week, you'll write down what module you're in, and you can give me a brief description of the learning that you've completed. And then you'll also tell me what department you worked in for your departmental training, a brief description of any tasks that you were required to do, and then you'll describe any troubleshooting encounters that you come in contact with. If you have none, you can just put NA there. This does change once we jump to week 12, so I think through, yes, so starting at week 3, this changes through week 17. As I mentioned before, you're required to do 5 blood draws per week, and after that you're also required to spend half of a day in a competent department. So same thing goes for these two sections. You're going to tell me what module or what department. You're going to briefly describe the learning you've completed and any tasks or troubleshooting encounters that you interacted with. Then we have added 2 additional columns. Here you're just going to tell me how many draws you did and how much time you spent in a competent department. So for example, if I did 3 draws on Monday and then 0 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, 0 on Friday, we would end up with 6. If I didn't spend any time in a competent department until Thursday, which I spent time in, let's say, phlebotomy, I would just write that I spent some time in phlebotomy, how long I spent in there. That way it's easy for you to keep track and it's easy for us to keep track. So that is what a daily activity log is, and we have these all the way up to week 17. You'll just fill these out. You'll either turn it into your supervisor or they may decide that they want to collect it at the end of the program, but it's just a way to keep us aware of where you're at in the program, and a nice way for you to organize your thoughts and any additional requirements that you need to complete. In this video, I'm not going to go over the Media Lab Compliance and CE sections, because in the Media Lab tutorial where I show you how to do Media Lab, I'll discuss all of this. You can read through this on your own. It just gives a brief overview of what you're going to be doing and how to do it, and like I said, I will do the exact same thing in the Media Lab tutorial for you. I'm going to briefly touch on the exams and the competency tasks list. You have to complete a comprehensive multiple choice exam at the end of each module, and these exams are going to focus heavily on the content presented in the virtual training, mainly the laboratory policies and procedures. You really need to know that. All of these exams will be completed within the Media Lab application, and you will be assigned 10 exams for the 10 modules at the beginning of the training program. However, you should only take the corresponding exam upon completion of the module. For example, if you have not completed the clinical chemistry module, you should not take that exam. You are able to refer to any notes or the Adams Health Network laboratory policies and procedures during your exams, because as a medical technologist at Adams Health Network, you're going to be referring to policies and procedures constantly. So we don't want to hinder that from you. We want to allow you to do that as you would in your daily activities. The competency tasks lists are a way to show that you are competent outside of the virtual training. So you will have to complete a minimum number of testing procedures with 100% accuracy to complete a corresponding departmental training. The laboratory managers and the medical technologists who train you reserve the right to vary these minimum amounts depending on participant comprehension and competency in each area. Again, you can use the policies and procedures presented to you throughout your virtual training during these competency task list requirements, just because, again, you'll be using those throughout your day as a medical technologist. Down here I have some information about some optional learning. You can read through that on your own. So for this video, I think we're going to stop. I think this is a good starting point, or stopping point, excuse me. But I think that in the next video, I will show you more about the SharePoint site, how to access each of those modules, and the requirements needed for each of those modules. I think this was a great overview of the program course description. That way you are familiar with it and you can use that as you proceed through your program. Thank you.